What's up, everybody? Project Newman here, and I'm here with my friend
Michael
from Faith and Based, and I'm going to ask him a few questions because he's a strong believer, and he also has a channel and a reach, and he's reaching people with not only health, but mental health.
Correct.
And so we really want to get his perspective. So real quick, how long have you been doing Faith and Based, and what's your mission? What kind of results have you seen?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I started Faith and Based, 2022 or 2021. I think at the beginning of 2022, at the end of 2021. And for me, my mission at the crux of it was to glorify God, right? And I noticed that there was a lot of things out in the world that wasn't necessarily positive. I used to live in LA, and I noticed a lot of things that didn't jive with me spiritually. I would go to the gym and see clothing that had, I don't know, decapitated heads or weird things, and I was like, wow, like evil is popular. Like things that look ugly and evil is hip now. And it didn't really jive with me. I was like, why does everything need to be filthy? Why does everything need to be ugly? So I was like, hey, why don't I paint the future of the life that I want to see? So it started with clothing, and then it became a podcast, and now I'm even making music. And really, at the end of the day, I would say I'm just following God's plan. Whatever God tells me to do, I do. If he tells me to jump, I jump. And I think as a result, people see me and they go, Mike, you have 2 kids, you have a lot of things going on, how do you do it? Really, it's like I just follow what God tells me to do, and I do it, you know? So.
Okay, so a lot there, a lot of really cool stuff there. So the first thing I noticed is that you were disturbed by the world, by even just the art and what people are wearing. Correct. And what that's doing to their mind, right?
Correct.
Second thing I noticed is you just made the decision, no matter how busy I am, no matter what's going on in my life, this takes priority, this takes importance.
Correct.
So I really respect that, I love that. And third thing I noticed is that you're making music, apparel, and you have a podcast. So
Correct.
You're reaching people through visual, the clothing, their ears, and then the knowledge through the podcast. So
Correct.
You're hitting it on a lot of different levels, and you're making an impact, which we love. So the question that I have is, right now, a lot of people, they're not very conscious of their mind, right? And we all know that the shape of our mind and how we think affects where we're going in life.
Yeah.
What percentage of success and the destination of your life, in your opinion, do you think is based on just your mind?
Yeah, I would say all ideas of success are on your mind. From what somebody finds successful to somebody, I grew up here in Miami. A lot of my friends, to them, they want to have a lot of wealth, and that's their prerogative. To me, I'm more focused on things that make my soul feel satisfied. And sometimes that does entail having money, but really it's about spiritual satisfaction. It's about helping my fellow community. It's about feeling love and abundance. It's about serving my fellow man. I think a lot of the times people don't understand about serving people. When you help someone, really what you're doing is you're helping yourself, because you're actually those wounds in your soul, you're actually healing them, because anytime that you've been wronged or you've been hurt, by helping somebody else, you're actually feeling that and healing that. So there's been countless times where I'll give somebody, a homeless man or somebody, something, and I'll be the one that's moved by it. I'm the one that's going back to my car and crying and feeling emotional about it, because it's less about them and more about myself as well. So it is a mind thing, going back to your original question.
Right.
You know?
Well, you answered the question that I was about to ask, was people are looking for different ways to deal with their emotions and to deal with a lot of things that are just running rampant nowadays. Anxiety, depression, anger, relationship issues.
Yeah.
And they're going about it with current psychological mainstream advice. But what you said is approaching it in a different way.
Correct.
You're approaching mental health through your heart and integrity and an orientation towards something very beautiful.
Yeah. So
And
if you see any paintings of Christ, he's going like this. And what the coded thing about that is to lead with your heart, go like this, you connect with your heart, and then you go to heaven, right? So basically you connect, and then with our heart, and then we go upwards, right? We're not going like this. He's not going like this. Hey, let's overthink things. Let's overanalyze stuff in life. And then we find progress. Oh, I'm so smart. Oh, I know I made the winning trade. I made the winning move. No, it's about submitting yourself using your heart, and then going to the promised land, you know? But it's just, in our world, we make us think that we have to do it all with our mind, and it's like submission, you know? But people, they want to be a big boy, you know? They don't want to submit, you know what I mean? So that's the, yeah, you have to swallow that pride, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. And it's a very different approach. What would you say to somebody who feels like they're not Christian, they don't have strong beliefs towards any doctrine, but they're still feeling...
James 4:8.
Hold on. They're still feeling lonely, isolated, and they feel like something's off in their life. What would you say to them?
I would say James 4:8. It's one of my favorite Bible verses, and it's come near to God, and God will come near to you. And what that really means to me is that whatever is on your heart, do it, and that'll be different for everybody. If God tells you to pray, if God tells you to do, you know, if you're of a different faith and it's come close to your family, you know, honoring your mother and father, that's one of the principles. So if your principle is your parents are close to a different faith, that's fine. As long as you're connecting with God and connecting with your parents and do things that's right. To me, as a Christian, as somebody that's humble, you don't have to walk my walk. Just walk a righteous walk. And I think that's what I'm looking for as a human, bro. For everyone to love each other, to be positive, you know? Vibrate higher.
Okay, so that's a really interesting approach. That's not very religiously dogmatic. You're basically saying everybody can start living the same principles that they know in their heart are true. Helping people, being kind to each other, getting out of your isolation, getting with other people who radiate and can look at them, and even when they're imperfect, even if they're nervous, even if they have the anxiety, the anger, the imperfections, those people will still love them. And by being with those people, you'll change. So can you talk a little bit about getting together with other people who are vibrating at the same level and how important that is versus trying to do it on your own?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, man, I'm only a human. I live day to day. I have a lot of issues, right? Whether it's stress, family stuff, money stuff, whatever. So yes, you might even see a different version of me on a Wednesday in the middle of the day, right? I come here to the market. I'm around a good community of people that show me love and abundance, and I'm able to demonstrate that as well. So I do think there's a quote in the Bible, iron sharpens iron. And a lot of the times you also need other people that are spiritually sound to help you through the way. Yeah.
I definitely feel that because I was a loner who just tried to be a monk and do it on my own for so long.
Yeah.
I could just read books and gain knowledge and meditate and feel high on my own. But I realized when I went out and I was around other people, I would still have these strongholds in my mind that either made me nervous or a little bit offended or easily triggered, right?
Right.
And so that's how I started to actually understand community and being involved and serving and putting yourself into different situations, interacting with people in many different ways and just letting it come out of you. Because you're not going to instantly be completely free. Sometimes you have to go and you have to let these things just let go. And when you're with other people who believe in that healing power and believe in you and give you that grace, I feel like that's the first step. Because if you just go out and you're among the world and people who kind of laugh at you or scorn you, it's going to be so hard to start coming out of these tendencies, these insecurities, these strongholds that you have in your mind, even of lack of service, this self-centeredness. But when you're around other people who have the grace and the experience and the character that they've forged over years and years and years, I feel like they will be able to look at you in your imperfection, in your weakness, and see themselves. And they will be able to apply that grace and that love and that belief in you. And I feel like that's very, very powerful, especially if they're mature and established and they understand you. And so I feel like so many people need that. So many people are separated and they don't feel like they have a tribe. They don't feel like they have a community, and they deep down don't trust other people because they've been hurt so many times from other people. And they don't remember what it feels like to be loved and respected and feel the grace in their imperfection, that they don't have to hide, they don't have to fake, they don't have to put on a mask and act like they have it all together. They can be real and they can reveal the truth. And I feel like that aspect of maturity and grace and love is so redemptive. And so I want to hear your perspective on that, and then also, well, let's take that first.
Yeah, I would say when you are yourself, man, and you rate positivity and love, you open up the space for other people to be themselves and to do what they need to do too, you know? I think a lot of the times maybe we do have a mission or we do want to do something a little different, but judgments and things you alluded to make us not do those things. And I think it's important for us to, Joe Rogan talks about wave your freak flag. Sometimes you got to just be yourself, bro. And it's okay if sometimes I'm uncool. Let me be uncool. You know what I mean? I don't care. And then what's funny is me doing that, I actually become more cool by not trying to be cool. I'm cool. And that's like the juxtaposing forces of life. I don't care, but by not caring, you become cool, kind of, right? And I'm not calling myself that, but it's just the way things are, right? In a weird way.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a process of coming out of these strongholds if you felt like a certain way for a very long time.
Yeah. I was different when I first came around. And I was more looking over my shoulder and wondering how people thought of me and stuff. And now where I'm at now, it's one of those things where it's like take it or leave it. I don't care about how people think about me anymore, at all.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because a lot of people, when they're not at that stage and they're wondering, it's very high search volume, how to stop caring about what other people think of me, how to increase my confidence.
I only care about what God thinks of me. Because the spiritual world is too real to me. I've had too many experiences. So, I'm just here to serve God, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So, for someone who's not at that level yet, so rewind in your journey to where maybe you felt more like insecure, more stifled, and you don't want people to see it. Yeah. So you're kind of like shy because a lot of people kind of feel that they don't want to admit it. So, if you could take yourself back to that moment where you kind of felt like that. What did you do to build that confidence to where you know who you are, you know what's right, and you're on the process of letting go and letting yourself be imperfect? What would you say to that previous self and other people who kind of feel like that?
I would just say to lean on God. Honestly, I've had a lot of different stuff happen in my life and whatever, and different points of view, different worldviews of different things. And I can go on a bunch of different examples, but it's just pointless. But really, it's just trusting God. I've been in a lot of situations where it's like, oh, I probably shouldn't be this way, or what are people going to think of me and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like I've noticed is if I go bold and I double down and I do what I'm supposed to do, I always hit this new mark. I always achieve this new goal. I meet a new person that becomes this thing, and it becomes this bigger thing, And I don't want to use examples because I might name drop, and I'm not trying to do that. But yeah, good things happen,
Okay, so basically just trust God, take the first little step, don't worry too much about it, and don't really judge the results, just keep on going.
Faith moves mountains, bro. Faith and based.
It's great. So this has been great. One final last thing. What heartfelt message do you want to share with the people watching right now who might be struggling?
I would say that God's always watching. Whatever's happening, in your struggle, in your suffering, God's always catching your back. There'll never be a situation that He's not catching your back, even though it doesn't seem that way. He's testing you. It's a test. Pass the test. Continue doing the right thing. In this life, there's good and evil. Always follow good. The more that happens, the more good things will happen in your life. It'll be a domino effect, and the inverse happens as well. So that's why you need to spiral upwards and not downwards. I love you guys. Bless.
Okay, Faith and Based. How can they find you? You're on YouTube.
Faith and Based. On YouTube, on Instagram. Listen to Rhyme or Resist. That's my new project that's coming out. And yeah, man, just stay locked in with God. And just follow love and follow your brother by being positive, bro. That's it. This guy knows what's up.
It's good stuff. Follow him right now. Open a new tab. Follow him. His stuff is funny. His stuff is real. His stuff will really help you. Thank you, brother. I'm here with my friend Seth Balin or Ballin?
Balin.
Seth Balin, the Fruitarian. What's your YouTube channel called?
My YouTube channel is School of Unlearning.
School of Unlearning. And I'm asking the question, what's the number one way to gain a positive mindset?
And one of my answers would be to clear your colon. Okay, the gut-mind connection is very real, and if you get any waste out there that's stagnant, that hasn't left the body yet, then your mind is automatically going to feel 10 times better, your mood's going to lift, and you'll just be off to a better day with a clean colon.
Super interesting, because you see a lot of people in different camps. You see people in the camp of only using their mind, and you see people in the camp of only using their body.
Mhm.
And so interesting your answer, because there's a lot of things that we can do with our body that will improve our mental health. But if I was going to ask you, in terms of using your mind, what do you think is the number one mistake that you think people do? And what's the number one thing that they can do to make it better?
I think a common mistake people might make as far as mindset goes is to practice any type of self-loathing and any type of guilt or shame about oneself. Because in reality, you, listener, are perfect, and we can forget that sometimes. So I think it might be a mistake to just get down on ourselves and beat ourselves up over different things. Give yourself some grace, right?
Right, yeah, you see that so much. People just think that they're not good enough. They're always comparing themselves to somebody else. And it just turns into this negative cycle, this spiral. So what would you say, applying that self-love and not being so negative, what if someone's really struggling with that? It's like a stronghold. How would you say that they can start really fixing it? What techniques, or what, doesn't have to be a technique, but like how?
Well, I'll just go back to the first question about healthier mindset, cleaning your colon. The techniques would involve enemas, colonics, and stopping the eating of food that is constipating, and eating more hydrating fruits high in fiber. Any fruit, really, any fresh fruit. So just switch out the oily, greasy, starchy, refined foods for fruits, and pipes start working better. And again, it's going back to the physical, but that's one of my favorite techniques, is just keep the pipes working. The body's a system of tubes. You don't want them to get clogged up.
Yeah, so I definitely felt like that. Even after I met you, I just started doing plant-based fruits, vegetables. I just started feeling it's so much easier just to think right. You don't get like this crash after you eat your meals. And so even just decreasing the rancid oils in your diet, the artificial food, the preserved food, it will automatically make your body feel better, and your mind just starts working at a different level. Things are just, it's easier to laugh at things. It's easier just to get up and get yourself out the door. You have less social isolation just from changing the quality of your food, whether that's fixing up your gut health, doing enemas, clearing your colon, or just cleaning up your diet. Stuff as easy as that just makes it 100 times easier without having to go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist. These things that you do every single day, 3, 4, 5 times a day, are impacting your mind. So that's a great message. I appreciate it, Seth. Last thing that you would say to a 30-plus-year-old who's shy, who is unhealthy, wants to lose weight, what would you say to that guy?
Oh man, I don't know. Have fun, enjoy life, find the foods that are delicious by themselves. Tap into nature, get some fresh air, go dancing, love yourself. I don't know, man. Just enjoy life.
I like it. Good vibes, because the mental health impacts your physical health. You can't just stay too caught up on any hang up. Who cares if you're fat? You can have a dad bod. You can have a Jack Black bod. Doesn't matter. Just start loving your life, and you can just start meditating on that. You don't have to judge yourself. You don't have to resist what your life is now. You can accept it and move forward. Mentally, you're awesome. You're awesome the way you are. Just start saying that, and you'll start balling.
Yeah. Right on, John.